I am 78 years old, and my son hasn't spoken to me in 12 years. Last week I learned why, and it shattered everything I thought I knew about being a father. If you are a parent, this story could save your relationship before it is too late. Please subscribe for more real stories that matter. Hit like if this resonates, and tell me in the comments what is one thing you wish your parents understood about you. My name is Robert, and I thought I was a good father. For 78 years on this earth, that is what I believed. I provided for my family, worked 60 hard weeks, paid for the best schools, never missed a mortgage payment. I thought those things made me a good father. I was wrong, and it took 12 years of silence to understand just how wrong I was. My son Michael is 42 now. He is a successful architect, married, 2 beautiful children I've never met. He lives just 30 minutes away from me, but it might as well be another planet. The last time we spoke was the 15th of December, 2012. I remember the date because it was the day after his birthday, and I had just finished lecturing him about his career choices again. Last week, something happened that changed everything. My neighbor's grandson was visiting, a young man about Michael's age, and he was helping his grandfather fix a fence. I watched them through my kitchen window, laughing together, the grandfather patient as the young man struggled with the hammer. The boy made mistake after mistake, but his grandfather just smiled and showed him again. No frustration, no criticism, just patience and love. That is when it hit me. I couldn't remember a single moment like that with Michael. Not one. I decided to write him a letter, not to defend myself or demand forgiveness, but to finally understand what I had done wrong. I asked him to meet me for coffee, just once, so I could listen. To my surprise, he said yes. We met at a small cafe downtown. Michael looked older than I expected, tired in a way that went deeper than just being busy with work. When he sat down across from me, I saw something in his eyes I had never noticed before, or maybe I had never cared to look close enough to see it. It was wariness, like he was preparing to be hurt again. I told him I wasn't there to argue or explain myself. I was there to understand. I asked him to tell me what I had done wrong, and I promised to just listen. Michael was quiet for a long time. He stirred his coffee, looked out the window, seemed to be gathering courage for something. Finally he spoke, and his first words cut right through me. "Dad, do you remember what you said to me when I brought home my first B+ in 6th grade? I didn't remember. I told him so. You said I was getting lazy. You said a B+ wasn't good enough for our family. You took away my video games for a month and made me study an extra hour every night until my next report card." I still didn't remember this specific incident, but I believed him. It sounded like something I would have said. I had always pushed him to be the best. "Do you remember my high school graduation speech?" he asked. I nodded. I remembered being proud. Michael had been valedictorian just like I knew he would be. "I wrote that speech about you," he said, "about how my father taught me that excellence was the only option. I thought you'd be proud. But after the ceremony, the first thing you said to me was that I had spoken too fast during the second paragraph." My heart sank. I remembered that too, now that he mentioned it. I had noticed he was rushing through that part of the speech. "Dad, I had just achieved something most kids never do, and you immediately found what was wrong with it. That was our relationship. I could never be good enough, and you could always find the flaw." Michael continued, and with each memory he shared, I felt my self-image as a good father crumbling. The time he made the basketball team, and I asked why he wasn't starting. The time he got into 3 good colleges, and I asked why he hadn't applied to Harvard. The time he showed me his first architectural drawings, and I pointed out the proportions that seemed off. I had thought I was helping him improve. I had thought I was preparing him for a competitive world. I had thought I was being a good father by pushing him to be better. I was never afraid of failing at school or work. Michael said. I was afraid of disappointing you, and I always did. No matter what I accomplished, you always found something that could have been better. He told me about his wedding day. I had given a speech at the reception, and I had mentioned how proud I was of his achievements, his grades, his career prospects. But I hadn't mentioned his character, his kindness, his sense of humor. I hadn't talked about who he was as a person. It was my wedding day, Dad, and even then you introduced me to people as your son, who graduated summa cum laude, your son who got the job at the prestigious firm, never just as your son who you loved. The worst part was what he told me next. He said that he had spent years in therapy trying to figure out why he couldn't feel proud of his own accomplishments, why every success felt hollow, why he constantly heard my voice in his head finding fault with everything he did. I love my wife, Dad, but sometimes she tells me I am a good husband, and I can't believe her, because if I was really good at something, you would have found what was wrong with it. That sentence broke me. I realized I hadn't just been a demanding father. I had damaged my son's ability to feel proud of himself, to believe in his own worth. Michael told me about the day he decided to stop calling. It wasn't after a big fight or some dramatic moment. It was after a regular phone call where he had told me about a promotion at work. Instead of congratulating him, I had immediately started asking about his next career move, what his 5-year plan was, whether he was networking with the right people. I hung up the phone and realized I felt worse after talking to my father than I did before. I thought, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I seeking approval from someone who will never give it? So he stopped calling, and I was too proud to call him. I told myself he would come around, that he was being dramatic, that he would realize I had only wanted the best for him. Years passed, and my pride kept me from reaching out. Michael told me about his children, my grandchildren I've never met. His daughter is 7. His son is 5. He said his daughter is a lot like he was as a child, sensitive and eager to please, but he parents her differently. When she brings me a drawing, I don't tell her how she could make it better. I tell her it is beautiful and ask her to tell me about it. When she makes a mistake, I don't focus on the mistake. I help her learn from it without making her feel like she is not good enough. He said his son is more confident, more willing to take risks because he is not afraid of criticism at every turn. They're happy kids, Dad. They're not afraid of disappointing me because they know I love them for who they are, not what they achieve. I asked Michael if he had been happy as a child, and he thought about it for a long time before answering. I was proud when I succeeded, but I was never relaxed. I was never just a kid. I was always performing for you, always trying to earn your approval. Even when I did well, I was already worried about the next test, the next opportunity to disappoint you. The conversation lasted 3 hours. Michael was kind but honest, patient but clear. He didn't attack me or try to hurt me. He just told me the truth about what it had been like to be my son. As we were getting ready to leave, I asked him the question I was most afraid to ask. Did he think it was too late for us to have a relationship? Michael was quiet for a long time. Finally, he said, Dad, I am not angry at you anymore. I understand that you thought you were helping me, but I need to know that you understand what actually happened. I need to know that if we have a relationship going forward, you won't treat my children the way you treated me. I promised him I understood, and I meant it. But I also realized that understanding intellectually and changing we've been meeting for coffee once a month since then. It is slow progress, but it is progress. I've met my grandchildren twice now. They're beautiful, smart kids, and I can see that they're not afraid of their father the way Michael was afraid of me. I am learning to ask questions instead of giving advice. I am learning to celebrate achievements without immediately looking for improvements. I am learning that love is not about pushing someone to be perfect. Love is about accepting them as they are while supporting them to become who they want to be. The hardest part is accepting how much time we lost. Michael is 42 now. I missed 12 years of his life, 12 years of my grandchildren's lives, because I was too proud to examine my own behavior. I keep thinking about all the conversations we didn't have, all the moments I missed, all the times I could have just listened instead of lecturing. I think about the man he became despite my parenting, not because of it. I thought I was preparing him for the world, but I was actually making it harder for him to enjoy his place in it. I thought I was teaching him standards, but I was teaching him that he would never be. The saddest part is that Michael turned out to be an incredible man. He is kind, thoughtful, successful, and a wonderful father. But it took me 12 years of silence to tell him I was proud of who he had become, not just what he had achieved. If you are a parent, please listen to what I am telling you. Your children don't need you to find their flaws. The world will do that for them. Your children need you to be the voice in their head that tells them they're worthy of love, that tells them they're enough, that celebrates who they are. Don't wait until it is too late to realize that your love should feel like acceptance, not like a performance review. I am 78 years old and I am just learning how to be a father. I wish I had learned 40 years ago,